They walk in that room, they become yours. And you got this energy inside your soul that says, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt. I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go. 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 Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 203 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here. And I might add, I'm feeling strong this morning, man. I don't know what it is. But here we go. I got Sharon Wright in the building out there in Brooklyn. We got Mona Abimolak is in the building. She said hello to myself and the Queen. We got Edgar Ray out here in Macon, Georgia. Takesha High is in Virginia. AP Patrick Lawrence is in Connecticut. Grace Castaneda is in Kyle, Texas. Marsha Poe is in San Diego. Tashika Truesdale's in Atlanta. Lysandra Bracken's North Carolina. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta. Lynette Wilson is in North Carolina. Dr. Demetria Scott is checking in from Alabama. We got Michael Benton out in Cincinnati. My man Josh Tovar out there in Garland, Texas. Rashard Davis in Vegas. Ronald Pugh in Cedar Hill, Texas. Jacqueline Harriet in Nova Scotia, Canada. We got, yeah, Josh, I think I'm clean. I think the mirror's clean. I tried to clean it, man. We got Sheikah Houston down there in Chester, South Carolina. I see the Queen, Kimberly Broughton Kafele, the Queen of the Castle, out here in Jersey City, New Jersey. We got Yolanda McKinney out there in Arkansas. Elizabeth Tabb, she said good morning. Tanya Jackson, Jasmine Harris out there in California. Where we at? This thing jumped, man. That means a lot of people just came on at the same time. Nolene Martin is in the building, North Texas. John Hirricks, I see you. Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Tanya Jackson, Virginia. Stacy L. Joy out there in LA. Good to see you. AP Patrick Lawrence live. Sean Hurt, my man in Detroit. Did y'all see Sean Hurt this morning, man? He was rocking it, man. He was, as he would say, he was talking good, man. That's 10 o'clock every Saturday morning, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, and then Josh Tovar, Dean Packard, Unlock the Middle. Hey, Josh, when y'all coming back though, man? Right? So that's Sunday nights at 7 o'clock, man. I tune in every Sunday and you're not there. Right, so you're gonna be there this Saturday. Put me something in the thread, man, because I'm gonna be on an airplane. I need something to do while I'm on that plane. 6-hour flight. September, Devon Vance Daniels is in the building. The boss educator, Dr. LaQuanta Nelson, man, she's doing big things. She's in the building. Mark Merrill, my man, is in the building. Gian Pol. I'm gonna mess your name up. Polignano. I think I may have done all right, right? Out there in Tennessee. Bev Hill. Lakeisha Redmond is in the building. Where we at? Principal Sherrod Laws, L. Laws, is in the building. He said Hotep. He's out in Greenville, North Carolina. Hotep means peace, y'all. That's ancient Kemetic language. Leslie F. is in the building in Maryland. Al Hassan Suso said hello. Champion Principal, my man, he's going to be a guest with me later on in the year, but he's coming. There's Arlette Johnson, 2023 Assistant Principal of the Year, elementary level. She'll be my guest. We going one-on-one soon, so look out for her, man. We going to talk one-on-one. Edwin Garcia is in the building. I see Elizabeth Tabb. Jordana Bell is in the building. Y'all, it's about 11:01. I'm getting ready to shut it down so we can get going. Let me just see. Do I see any of my local homies on here? Any Jersey heads? I gotta recognize my man Gerard Phillips, though. He's not Jersey, he's Delaware, but that's my dude, man. I gotta call y'all so we can schedule that date, man. I put it off, man, because it's not till like the fall. But I got you, Gerard. Stephen oh man, Folkerts is in the building, man. He said you've been keeping an eye on the games. Oh man, you know that, man. UConn, man, all the way, right? I mean, they're not Jersey, but the head coach is Jersey, man. Danny Hurley, Jersey City at that. I'm going to close on Dennis McKeezy, man. Dr. Dennis McKeezy in the building. So he's not Jersey, but that's my brother. So it's like Jersey, right? So I got Dr. Dennis McKeezy, president of OSG, Off School Grounds. We're going to talk about the conference, Dennis. I already told Dr. Farrington, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell the folks out there before I get started. The OSG conference, Columbia University. I don't have that date in my mind, but I know it's next weekend. But they'll talk about it in a little while at 12 o'clock at halftime of the academy today. So let me say, I see you, Jacqueline Harriet. Good morning to you. Maybe I spoke to you already. I'm not sure. But listen, it's time to go. So let me say formally to everybody, good morning. Tell you, man, I'm feeling strong today, man. Greetings. Welcome to week 203 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Woo! 203, man. This was supposed to be 18 weeks and I'm gone. But we here at 203 and I'm booked till November. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't going nowhere, right? But let me let y'all know how I feel, man. Because I don't think y'all know. See, I don't come on here. Anything could be wrong with me, man. I could be tired. I could be aching. I could be stressed. I could be having issues. I mean, whatever it is, y'all ain't gonna know, man, because y'all don't tune in to hear that. You hear for specific reasons. That's the only reason you tune in. So let me let you know what energy I'm going to bring to these two powerhouses that I got in the wings waiting to come up here. Y'all feel that? On! Y'all feel that? Fire! Woo! That's how I'm feeling, man. And let me tell you why. Because I'm in leadership. I'm in leadership. Even if I gotta fake the funk, I mean, I am human. And if I'm down, that's not a problem with letting somebody know that. But I understand this platform, the AP and New Principals Academy, and y'all ain't tuning in to find out if Kafele is feeling depressed today. You trying to get some information because leading these schools is not easy work. It's fun work. It's rewarding work. But it ain't easy work, especially when you think about just the politics of the work. Sometimes that's the part that stresses us out. Not the children, not the staff, but the bureaucracy. So, hey man, I'm bringing them flames. Let me go do my rundown, y'all. Number one, my shout out to Joyce Kilmer Intermediate School in Trenton under the leadership of Principal Paula Bethea. I was in the building all day the other day and we had a great day, man. Shout out to them, the whole staff and the students. Shout out to the New Jersey Association for Middle Level Educators Conference. I was the opening keynote, man. Y'all know I brought that thunder, man. Shout out to them. Shout out to Geary School District in Oklahoma under the leadership of Superintendent Sean Buchanan. Oh, man, I was with their staff, man. I was driving through. It wasn't just cows in the field. You know, we in the rural section. It wasn't just cows in the field. It was them bulls in the field, right? It was bisons in the field. I don't go nowhere and there's bisons. The only place I've been where is bisons is when I spoke in Montana. They had the signs, bison crossing. I'm like, oh, let me hurry up and get back to the airport, man. Bison crossings, right? So I'm used to deer crossings. They said bison crossing. But we had a great time. But this was in Oklahoma, Geary, Oklahoma. Great time. But my man, Sean Buchanan, superintendent, young brother, man, 41 years old, doing his thing, right? So shout out to them. Y'all, welcome to the first timers. Don't let this be your last time. If this is your first time, that means you missed 202 sessions. 202. So you can go to the YouTube channel, AP and New Principals Academy, and subscribe, right? And binge watch, right? And then while you're there, check out the video series I have called Becoming a Professional Speaker. It's 5 videos, 9 hours of content. I'm giving all the secrets away for free. right? People say to me, man, you doing that for free? You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now I'm giving it to y'all, man. Just go to the channel. And then while you're there, check out the video series I wrote called Becoming a Best-Selling Author. 4 videos, 5 hours of content. I'm giving it to you for free. Man, Kafele, free? You giving all that away? Free, baby. Free. Then God come down, he blessed me, man. I'd be like just minding my business, and then bam, whoa, where that blessing come from? Oh yeah, that's right. When I gave all that free content. Yeah, okay. I know how it works. See, I expect that. I'm not going to get spiritual with y'all, but I will say this. I have expectancy. see, you got to be spiritual connected to understand expectancy. See, if you don't have that connection, then you somewhere wishing and hoping, man, I hope God bless me today. Oh my God, I need a blessing. But when you got expectancy, you know it's coming. See, that's the difference. That's the difference, y'all. Let's go. Be sure to like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. Join me in Texas, y'all. The School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele, July 9 and 10. We're going to be in the building, man. This is the 7th annual I've been doing this. July 9 and 10 in Houston. Go to principalkafele.com, scroll down, click the registration button, and join me in Houston, July 9 and 10. Well, now we ain't doing that one for free. You know, we got to charge a little something. But it ain't that much. It ain't that much. Right? So join me in July 9 and 10. Register now before that place sells out, man. Right? Register now. We're not in some big convention center. We got a little meeting space that we typically fit a little over 100 people. So we want you to take advantage of this now. Hey, if you don't have your copy of the Assistant Principal 50, what you waiting for? This accompanies the platform. So make sure you get yourself a copy. The Aspiring Principal 50, this accompanies the platform. Make sure you get yourself a copy. Go to Amazon right now. Go to the other device and just get it out the way. This is my newest joint, the Assistant Principal Identity. If you don't have a copy, get yourself a copy. But you know, when we expanded to the New Principals, and quite frankly, we got a lot of veterans that watch, and that's what it should be. The Principal 50, you got to get that. And then get yourself a copy of Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It. Let me let y'all in on a quick secret, y'all. Quick secret. May 1st, I took the entire month of May off. I'm not speaking nowhere. Someone invited me yesterday to speak somewhere. They offered me all this money. I said, I can't do it. I took the month off. I recommend somebody to you. I'm writing this book, man. This is going to be my 15th book. I'm writing this book. Let me tell you the title. What is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? Let me say it again. What is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? See, you can have value, but is your value instructionally? Is there something about your relationship with the teachers that moves the academic needle, that moves the pedagogical needle? That teachers become that much more effective because you're in the building. I'm writing that bad boy in 1 month in May so that I can get back on the road in June. That's my secret, y'all. But it ain't really a big secret. Tell somebody that what is my value to the teachers that I supervise, ... instructionally, is coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's needed. It's necessary. It's coming. All right, y'all. Real quick. Let me do my monologue real quick. This is going to be short because I got these 2 powerhouse guests waiting in the wings. My monologue real quick. What is the experience of walking through your front entrance? Some of you know I do these YouTube shorts every Wednesday, and that was the title of the one I did this past Wednesday. Go to the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and you'll see all those shorts. They're 60 seconds long. But I just want to expound on that real quick. What is the experience of walking through your front entrance? Now, I think the lay person out there might take that for granted. Like, what's the big deal? But those of us in leadership, and some of us maybe don't realize it in leadership, maybe we're new, or maybe we're been in it so long we forgot. That walk through that front door, that approach of the building, that matters. That matters. And if you don't have that down, somebody to greet your kids, somebody to shake their hand, somebody to hug them, somebody to say their name. I mean, think about if you in one of them inner city schools and like where I was in Newark, and you walk in and the first thing you see is a metal detector. The first thing you see is an x-ray machine. The first thing you see is a security officer with a badge. The first thing you see is the security officer with a wand, right? The first thing you see is some table to put your book bag on, and then they slide it through the x-ray machine. And that's how we gonna start the day? That's how the day commenced? No, I had to get in front of that. Now, that ain't gonna be the first thing you see when you walk in on my campus. The first thing you're gonna see when you walk on my campus is the guy you see on your screen right now. But the only way that matters and makes a difference is if I matter. If I don't matter, then who cares? We see Kafele, big deal. But if I matter, then that's going to offset all that other crap that they got to go through to get into the building. And then if I can call them by their name, have some kind of contact, hug them, contact, whatever it is, that just elevates the process. See, I'm just asking you, what's the experience? Because maybe life wasn't all that pleasant between the hours of yesterday's dismissal and arrival to school tomorrow morning. Maybe there was some challenges, some issues. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have to go into specificity with that. Well, let them know that, well, you're in a safe place now, physically, emotionally, socially, etc., by me being there. So my question again, because I'm not going to be long this, what is the experience? And that's the word right there. What is the experience of walking through your front entrance? It matters. Don't forget that. Let's go, y'all. My topic today is shifting into your next gear of leadership. And I got the right guest to talk about this. So without further ado, let me get them up here. And I'm going to change that background as I always forget to do. And here we go. Give me 1 second, y'all. Here we go. Let me get that right. Here we go. There, we got it right. I got the good Dr. Allison Farrington, and I got the power principal herself, Power Pugh, in the building. Principal Power Pugh in the building. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You got me all excited. Yes.
We ready to go. Let's rock.
Let's rock. What we talking?
I'm ready to go too. So let me let them know who, for those that don't know who you are. Let me let them know who you are. And I'll just I did this alphabetically, y'all. So let me go with Dr. Farrington first. I thought I was going to edit, and I said, let me just read it all because there's nothing here that I felt I wanted to take out, you know. So the High School of Sports Management opened its doors. And by the way, folks, hit that share button, hit that retweet button, let them know we're here. I'm finished with my preliminaries, and we are here and ready to rock. The High School of Sports Management opened its doors in 2005 to an inaugural group of 87 eager students. During Dr. Farrington's 7-year tenure at HSSM, 5 of which she served as the first and only assistant principal, her duties were vast, inclusive of supervising a staff of 28 people. Her duties included initiating and facilitating professional development sessions on classroom management, engaging African American and Latino males, understanding and implementing Common Core learning standards, and using data to create pedagogical professional development sessions for teachers. She was integral in conducting observations of staff, planning retreats, and supervising 21st century grant activities. The many successes as a school afforded the leadership team, she and the principal, the honor of being accepted into the highly competitive and esteemed Kahn Fellows and Allied Program for Distinguished Public School Principals at Teachers College, Columbia University in 2011. In July 2012, Dr. Farrington joined the administrative team at Boys and Girls High School. There, she supervised a pioneering and alternative program entitled Tuskegee Academy. Dr. Farrington is currently the principal of Research and Service High School, which she founded on the Boys and Girls High School campus in 2013. Research and Service High School is a transfer school dedicated to servicing the educational and social needs of 250 over age and undercredited scholars. The school is dedicated to nurturing the development, the connection between, I got to do that again. The school is dedicated to nurture, I'm reading too fast, nurturing the development of higher order intellectual and moral qualities among students, and stresses the connection between education and the highly trained leadership capabilities required for collegiate and professional success in the 21st century and beyond. The school also believes strongly in equality of opportunity and recognizes that the exquisite talent is often hidden in students whose development requires unique educational and personal reinforcement. Finally, currently, 84% of students in research and service are deemed overage and undercredited, and 35% have been identified as students with special needs. In March 2015, Research and Service High School opened a state-of-the-art food pantry where every student on the Boys and Girls High School campus would receive 10 free items per week or more if necessary. In November 2018, Dr. Farrington was featured on Al Jazeera News for the school's annual Thanksgiving Share, where every student is provided a holiday meal in school and a free turkey for their families. Additionally, Dr. Farrington was recently featured on HBO's Wyatt Cenac, I hope I pronounced that correctly, program areas for sharing her ideas for disrupting the school to prison pipeline. That's a lot, y'all. I couldn't edit any of that, so I just had to go with it. A lot there for us to hear, to be inspired by, encouraged by, to learn from, etc. Principal Power Pugh, Samantha Pugh. Let me say, before I read this, let me say this to y'all, to the family out there. Doctor, I'm getting ready to call you Doctor. Principal Pugh wrote this in first person, and I decided to keep it that way because it just felt a lot more intimate. So I want you to hear this. She says, born and raised in East New York, Brooklyn. She said, in the projects. My mom hated the neighborhood schools, so she took on 2 jobs to put me in private school instead of the gifted and talented programs. Went on to Brooklyn Tech High School, the Brooklyn Tech top high school in the city, but I struggled with depression and anxiety and almost dropped out. 2 teachers deeply invested in me, which changed the trajectory of my life. I knew I was going to a Black college, but I was going to be a lawyer. My fraternal grandparents were illiterate, and maternal grandfather and my maternal grandfather, but my maternal grandmother migrated to the north and went to college. I'm the first of over 60 grandchildren to graduate from college. Changed my major to education after a promise to my professor. Became a middle school teacher and stayed one for 7 years, never wanting to be a principal. I wanted to be a talk show host. I think I still want to do that too. I've wanted to do that all my life and just never. Here I am. Got my master's in literacy because a white administrator told me that I couldn't do it, which in turn made me want to be an administrator. I can understand that. Went on to help open a high school, the first and only high school in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Went on to get my master's in educational leadership and policy from Fordham University. Was a high school coordinator and instructional coach. Then I got accepted to New Leaders for the new schools. Became the principal at James Baldwin High School, a transfer school, and left after a year. Sick of the system and realized that the system wasn't set up to really impact kids. Went to the charter world where I became a turnaround principal and stayed a turnaround principal. Opened a charter high school in the Bronx, New York, made history, and then became a victim of the racist practices of many charter schools. Went to turn around a school in Baltimore, but my health took a bad turn and I came back to New York, where I became chief academic officer of a closing charter school and turned it around. Pandemic, near-death car accident, and my mom showing signs of dementia forced me to tap out, but invigorated me to tap into being a coach and specialist for other Black women to stay in the seat. I started my company, Courageous Solutions. Lastly, after witnessing and experiencing trauma and loss during 2020's world pandemic and racial upheaval in this country, there was a strong need to repurpose, redirect the rage that was felt amongst the many communities, burning with it. The burning trauma particularly plagued schools and communities of color, and the best by the book traditional solutions were simply not enough. These communities needed beauty from ashes. After personal and professional reflection of my life as a student, teacher, Black woman, and leader, and hearing others who had similar experiences there was a trend of skills, strategies, mindsets, and actions that we took to overcome obstacles and thrive through trauma. Born from this reflection and employing the heart, head, and hand philosophy. And I'm going to ask you about that heart, head, and hand philosophy as we get into our conversation. So I love the way you wrote that. It just personalizes the bio, and great stuff for both of you. Let's jump into it. Hey, y'all out there in the fam, hit the share button, hit the retweet button. Let them know we are here. Tag somebody, hit them Facebook groups, those leadership groups if you haven't, and let them know we're here too. I'm ready to go. Hey, Dr. Farrington, I want to be with the questions I have to start off. I just want to reread the first one of the paragraphs in your bio to kind of set that tone. It says, during your 7-year tenure at the High School of Sports Management, 5 of which were served as the first and only assistant principal. Her duties were vast, inclusive of supervising a staff of 28 people. Her duties included initiating and facilitating professional development sessions on classroom management, engaging African-American and Latino males, understanding and implementing Common Core learning standards, and using data to create pedagogical professional development sessions for teachers. She was integral in conducting observations of staff, planning retreats, and supervising 21st century grant activities. I read that for this reason. You did that as an assistant principal. And we know that a lot of assistant principals do not have those kinds of opportunities. So I want you to talk to us about how you were either able to or permitted to lead in that fashion as an assistant principal.
So first, I want to say thank you for having me on this platform. I'm honored to be here this morning. And Power, I know we're going to rock out. Let's go, Salt and Pepper here. At the High School of Sports Management, which was founded by my mentor, Robin Pitts, and I thank her to this day. She believed in my vision. We were located in Coney Island, which is very close to where I grew up. So I understood the community. I understood that Coney Island for many years, because before the introduction of a Metro card, it was a 2-fare zone. So much of Coney Island was illiterate. It had one of the highest AIDS and/or HIV rates in New York City. And we were the first high school in Coney Island. Because I understood the demographics so well, she believed in me and allowed me to do much of what I believed to be correct work. Now, to give you more of a context of what that school was like, there were 400 kids at its capacity. 330 were Black and brown boys because they heard sports. And this is the land of Stephon Marbury. This is the land of Lance Stevenson. I'm going there to play sports. No, you're going there to learn the business of sport so you won't be the $40 million slave. You're going there to learn everything other than how to bounce a ball. So getting kids to understand, especially Black and brown boys, to understand, and our partners at the time were the Brooklyn Cyclones, to get them to understand you can own the team. You don't have to play for it. And getting them to understand ownership, entrepreneurship, taking them to a basketball stadium or a basketball arena and looking at how many sponsors do you get? How many sponsors do you see on the floor? Whose job is that? Whose job is that to order concessions, not to work the concession stand? So flipping the mantra, flipping the idea of who we could be was completely integral. And she allowed me, again, because I like the first thing I had the staff do, we need to tour the community. Y'all need to see what it is we're getting ready to, the battles we're getting ready to face. Because I'll be honest with you, when our children were going home, all of Coney Island was coming home. So we had to walk the kids to the train every day. We had to get known with the barbershop, because that's the barbershop I took my sons to, Timbuktu. Listen, these babies right here in this uniform, those are mine. If they're doing anything, let me know. If anything is happening to them, let me know. When we got to the train station, and again, it's the end of Brooklyn. People don't recognize that you're at the Atlantic Ocean. Transit officers, this is who I am. These are my babies. Here's my cell phone number. And we gained a large respect. And my sister, April Leong, who's the principal of Liberation, she inherited the building that we were in. And she has continued on with that work in all of her glory and her greatness. So, I mean, again, I want to thank Robin Pitts for believing in me and understanding that I understood what these babies needed. But then I also understood what the teachers needed in order to support the babies. Because even if the teachers are Black and brown, do you understand their circumstance? Because if you don't understand their circumstance, you can't educate them, even if you look like them. If you haven't walked in their shoes, if you haven't walked into that, if you haven't stepped over P in the staircase or in the elevator, if you don't understand that there's an incinerator, but people put garbage in front of it, how do you know how to service these babies? How do you get them to wear a uniform every day? Especially if the uniform is a white shirt and they don't have access to a laundry. Stop playing. You got to understand how these babies move and operate, what it is they're dealing with. And even some of our more affluent babies who the mentality of poverty have jumped on, right? Because that's what we don't talk about either. You got to understand everything about them. And she believed in me because I understood the demographics. And she allowed me to do whatever it is I needed to do to help make the school successful.
So Doc, I'm going off script already. So I'm newly appointed as assistant principal, even principal in a comparable environment. And I'm not from that environment. I don't know that environment. The only way I know that environment is on the 6 o'clock news. Outside of that, I know nothing about it. I ain't never stepped in it. I'm some fictitious person who's really in our schools. So my question to you, how does that person get to know that which you just described? And let me add a piece to it. I'm a little intimidated about what you said. I'm scared of that environment, but I want this job. Holla.
So I'm gonna be real, because when I walk in the hood, I'm still a little scared, and I'm from the hood. But I carry myself with a level of confidence. I carry myself with a level of I belong here too. The same way I can walk in a corporate office and say I belong here, I belong in the hood too. So I'm going to tell you that you're going to have to visit that school community off school time. You got to walk in that corner store to see what kids are ordering for dinner, because that's where they're getting their dinner from. That chopped cheese is important. Those Takis are important. You got to listen to their language, because it's a love language. It's a sign language. It's a form of communication. You got to step outside your comfort zone. You got to be confident in doing it. You got to be open to doing it. The same way we're open to learning a new language, French, Spanish, right? We're open to learning Mandarin. Why don't we understand that that language that they have is a powerful tool that we can use for education? And I understand it is scary, but it's also scary for me as a doctor to drive through a neighborhood full of mansions. I don't know if I'm gonna get pulled over. If I'm blasting Biggie in my car, or even if I'm blasting gospel in my car. Because of my haircut, and my skin color, I may get pulled over. I'm scared too. But you have to be unafraid. You have to be open. And also, I will say this. You have to find a confidant, because you can't sit in your own fear. You got to be able to tell somebody, I really don't know what to do. You got to be open to being vulnerable. You have to be, because if not, you'll never receive the supports that you need in order to get to where these kids need to get to.
Yeah. Hey, Power Pugh, I know you want to jump in here on some of that. Go ahead. It's yours.
You saw me. I was chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting because a few years ago, I took over a school, and on the very first day, I led my school into an exercise, and I said to them, "You're about to travel to another country. What will you do to prepare to travel to this other country that you've never been to, that you don't speak the language?" And you should saw the people, they were super excited. I'm going to get my passport. I'm going to study the language. I'm going to study the customs. I'm going to do all of these things. And I had them go around and show us what that looks like. And then I said to them, so you just came into a community that you knew nothing about, and you knew nothing about and not a part of, and you didn't even do a 10th of the work that you would have done if you were going to another country. Why is that fair? And then why is that fair? And then I used to say to them, if you're not here to educate Black and brown children that come from a poor neighborhood, this ain't the right place for you, and you need to make a decision today. And I think we have to start moving and speaking to that level of experience and making it so real for people, because this is so real. The work that we do is so real. Dr. Farrington and I are examples of when education changes the trajectory of lives, what it could do. So her and I, we don't have that type of time to play, because we know what it did to change our lives. But if you're not taking the time to go and learn about the communities and then embracing it, right, and loving it, because you gotta love it. you gotta love it. And if you're not studying, if you're not getting, and if you're not being intentional and purposeful about it, then you are going to have a hard time. And if that's not what you're trying to do, this is not the job for you. Go somewhere else where you feel a lot more comfortable. So that's that part that I would add to that.
And again, I'm not just talking about like going to the hood
or walking into the library, like
right.
Getting people. Go to the Brownsville has an Old Timers Day. So does Harlem has a Harlem Week, right? Like there's so many things that mean something to us. Right there across the street from your school, Allison, there's a place where people have been playing chess for 20 years.
Did a whole documentary on it.
Right? Like get to understand the experiences of our kids, and not from a savior point of view, because that's something different, right? Mm-hmm. Not from the savior point of view that I'm coming in to save. You're coming, this neighborhood and these kids have everything they need already. They don't need you to save them. They need you to activate something in them that no one ever has and sustain that. And in order to do that, you really got to have a head, heart, and hand investment in it. So that's what we're talking about, new AP.
You know, Power Pugh, and tell before I ask you this question, tell me what you most would want me to call you, because we didn't talk offline about that.
You could call me whatever makes you feel comfortable. Principal Power Pugh. I'm here for it all. Just call me, just call me something.
Well, since you're using power, tell the fam out here what does that mean?
Well, it's a moniker that I have totally embraced. Shout out to the lioness from OSG, the Queen Bee, the Queen Simone. She gave me this name. As you guys know, we're a part of an organization called All School Grounds. You'll hear a little bit, right here. You'll hear a little more about it if you haven't already heard. And one of the things from some of the original principals that came on, we would get a name that kind of like encapsulates who we are. So when I originally came onto OSG, I came on and then I left. And then I came back, and I would just come into my little blank square and wouldn't say anything, but I would drop a gem here and there. So one day I came on, Dr. Dennis McKeesey brought me on, and I was like, I watched the show Power, so you guys should call me Ghost, because I'm ghosting. I don't really come in and say anything. And then she interrupted the whole thing, and she was like, you may not say much, but every time you come on, you say something powerful. So since you love the show Power, and every time you drop something, we're going to name you Power. And it's stuck. Like, there are people in the world who actually think my name is Principal Power. So when you say to them Samantha Pugh, they're like, I don't know who that is, but Principal Power. But I think it really does. It's I've embraced it, because it's like how Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. That's her. So Principal Power is my alter ego, but it has become everything that I do, because you need the power to do this work. And it's not a power that's bestowed upon you. It's a power that's within inside of you. that you have to activate to do this work. And what I do every day and how I show up every day is try to push that button to activate the power or transfer my own power to somebody who's struggling to do this work. So
Absolutely.
that's the name.
Love it. Love it.
And it is something to be named by the lioness in the OSG world. I'm Dr. Inspiration. It is something to be named by that sister right there.
Yeah.
Simply because she is prophetic. And she sees who you truly are in your spirit. And when she ordains you, you run with that.
That's right.
I love it. You know, there are people asking, what's OSG? So those of you who are asking it at 12, we're going to take a pause at 12 o'clock Eastern time. And we're going to talk about what that is. And also they have a conference coming up this weekend. So we'll talk about that. You know, before I go back to Dr. Farrington, because I'm still with her, but I'm kind of freestyling at this point. Hey, Principal Pugh, Power Pugh.
Yes.
Heart, head, and hand. What is that philosophy? What is that?
Well, it's definitely borrowed from Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. I am a graduate of the illustrious real HU, Hampton University. Shout out, rock the blue and white. And that resonated with me about this whole idea of wanting to train the head, hand, and heart. So what that means for me is that's how I approach everything that I do with education. First, you have to touch the heart of people. This is heart work that we do. This is love work that we do. You have to love this, and it has to be something that touches your heart to go as deep as Dr. Farrington and the rest of my crew to do this. And then the head is sometimes we forget that we support the heart, but we don't tap into the intelligence of our kids. Our kids are so bright. Our people are so amazing. So making sure that we're training that intellectual piece. And then the hand is to take those things to go out there and then change and be innovators in your community. So all three of those things have to be working together in order for us to really make a big impact and change.
I love it. I appreciate that. Let me go back to Dr. Farrington. You know, Doc, you're the founder of Research and Service High School, which is a transfer school dedicated to the educational and social needs of 250 young people who are overage and undercredited scholars. Talk to us about just the inspiration for being the founding principal of a school. Where's that inspiration coming from?
So I founded a school for a student like me. I was extremely intelligent, but I was unseen. Everything that I was dealing with as a teen, no one ever saw. And I'm trying to understand how people miss the cues, right? So if I'm renting out or if I'm paying a custodial staff to rent out a girl's bathroom for me to run CeeLo games in, when I have advanced placement courses, how does no one know that?
Yeah.
If I'm in the streets dealing drugs, dealing with drug dealers, how does no one see that? So I founded a school for a kid like me. Because I understand that regardless of the circumstances that our young people are dealing with, life is also happening. But where all negative life data lives is in school. It's the attendance rate. It's the discipline. It's the reading. It's the math rates, right? That's where all negative life data for children actually manifests itself. And nobody saw that. So when I look at my young people, and what we mean by overage and undercredited is the average age of my student is about 19 right now.
Okay.
I don't have 14, I don't have 15. And I know we hear the word high school, but kids come to me from different high schools. They transfer into my school. So I have to use my school to service all of the life circumstances that they're dealing with, but get them a high school diploma at the exact same time. For instance, Power will tell you, 6 o'clock last night, student shot 5 times.
Mm.
After I get off this call with you, I'm headed to Kings County Hospital.
Mm.
But I'm still required to get this kid to graduate. Shot across the street from the school, non-school related. I'm still required to get this kid to graduate in June.
Mm.
How? But I got to show support for the family as well. So I'm going to go to my school food pantry. I'm going to pick up some stuff, put it in my car, bring it to the hospital. Here, family, I'm here to support you in any way I can. So with transfer schools and with any other school, but with transfer schools, the concentration of negative circumstance, negative life circumstance, due to systematic racism, due to so many other issues, the criminal injustice system, the concentration of need is so high that you have to mitigate the circumstances using school resources all the time. And please forgive me, this dog down here,
No, don't worry about it.
y'all can't see him, but he and I are battling this morning.
My cat keeps walking by the screen. I'm like, what's happening?
No, I don't know. We
Animal lovers too.
Don't even worry about it. So, certainly sorry to hear about the student and just hoping for recovery and hoping that whatever that conflict is resolved, right? We're dealing with too much of that across America, across the world, really. But I want to let me stay with you a little bit longer. Then I'm going to stay with Power Pugh for a while. Talk to us. You talked about the inspiration, but now talk to us about the challenges of being a leader of a school upon which you founded.
So the first challenge is making sure that you find time for yourself. That's the first challenge, because this thing becomes your baby.
Yeah.
This thing is yours, right? You go down in textbook history because you're the founder. So you want to do everything right. You want to make everybody happy. You take on the teacher's circumstances. You deal with your parents and your families, and then you forget you have your own children. You have your own grandchildren. You have your own life circumstances. You have your own health. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is you want to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I take this job really serious because I understand I can be the determinant between life and death, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. I can be the determinant between a kid being incarcerated or a kid being able to travel the world, literally. So I really, really take it to heart. Like I go to bed thinking about these babies. I go to bed thinking about their parents and the stories that they tell me about their parents. I go to bed thinking about my teacher who's getting divorced. I go to bed thinking about my teacher who needs overtime because their house is in foreclosure, because they have so much student loan debt. So finding that balance is really important, because Power will tell you, the world will tell you, I love the world. And I'm not, if you can tell by my demeanor, I'm not the person that kisses people's behinds, but I am the person that just wants the world to be right.
Yeah.
And I'll try to look for any way in which to make that possible. And sometimes to my own detriment. Making sure that you hire the right staff. Because everything ultimately still falls upon the leader. You chose that teacher to go into that math classroom. You decided to enroll this kid. You decided to take this kid on that trip, right? Because ultimately everything falls on the lap of the leader. But I take risks. I'm good with taking risks. Like I said, I ran CeeLo games in high school. I like gambling. Because I bet on the fact that I'm a winner. Mm-hmm. And I bet on the fact that my children are going to win.
You said so much that I want to just take this script and throw it in the trash. But I know there's certain things I want the folks to hear. But I got to you. I want you to feel free to jump on in this one too, Principal Pugh. I'm thinking about the audience, and I'm thinking about, I know it's a lot of young folks that watch, younger than us. I'm older than the two of you, but younger than us who want to be in your shoes one day. You said something. You said you bet on yourself. So that speaks to the level of confidence that you have in yourself. I bet on myself probably every day of my life. I'm betting on me. I'm going to win, right? There's no doubt in my mind, right? You do the same thing, Proud Pugh. I know you do. Right. So I need you to talk. I want to hear from both of you. I need you to talk to somebody about not the importance of betting on yourself, but how do I get to a space in my mind where I feel confident about betting on myself? Let's start with Power Pew.
I think one of the major things, and I know you don't necessarily talk spiritually, but I have a spiritual ground.
Right?
Like I have a spiritual ground. So if it's not Jesus and it's Muhammad, it's something. I know that there's something bigger than me, right? And I am faithful that when all things come together, Romans 8:28, when all things come together for the good, right? They are going to come to good. And I have the faith, even when it's hard, that I know that I'm covered, right? I know that I'm covered because I am also connected to my purpose. I know that God has put me here to impact the lives of people, right? My purpose is to bring people together, to love on them so they have enough love for themselves to go out there and love on other people. So when you have that sense of purpose and that sense of groundwork, so I know God puts me there. So if I continue to walk and do the work in my purpose, provision will always be made because my vision is always clear about what I want to do and who I am. Mm-hmm. The problem comes because you can't serve two masters, right? Because some of that is going to get you in hot water, right? Because I love and I'm going to support my people and I'm going to represent my people and I'm going to be me until the day I die. Mm-hmm. And because I know whose I am and who I am. So you got to get grounded in purpose. I always start any professional development that I do with people and ask them, who are you? And why are you here? Because when it gets really, really, really hard and somebody is going to try to get you to do something that you know that's not, you've got to be grounded in who you are. Too many people have purpose in just the cool stuff, right? The title principle, a title ascensive principle, the power dynamics that comes with it. But they don't really understand the sacrifice. So when your teachers are bucking up against you, or you get that angry parent, or you get the stuff from the district, you can't maintain because you're not grounded in something. So I always tell people, get grounded in something other than yourself. Because every morning, even when it's hard, I say, you know what, God, you said that this is it, and I'm going to keep pushing. So purpose, it's like this corny service saying about purposefully driven work is so real. It's so real. So that's my advice.
Love it. Go ahead, Doc.
So I need to remind everybody that you've already gotten over 100% of your worst days. Mm. Mm. Like you as a leader, just during COVID, I lost 18 people. And I'm not talking about, hey, did you hear so-and-so died? Right? I was a foot away from my mother when she passed. I was a foot away from my best friend died in my arms. I was a foot away from my boyfriend of 17 years when he died.
Oh, wow.
Right? I got over 100% of my worst days. I got another opportunity every day to be greater, every moment, every hour, every minute, to be greater for me and be greater for the world. How dare I not? How dare I take the time for granted? Mm. How dare I not take the opportunity to do something better for my students? How dare I not take the opportunity to say, yo, Power, I need you to come in here and provide professional development to these teachers? How dare I not? Because these babies, what I tell my babies is, your responsibility is to be greater than me.
Yeah.
If I've walked through everything that you've walked through, and I'm sitting here as your principal and founder, as doctor, you have no excuse. And I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to surround you with the supports. So young leaders, if you're out there, understand you've gotten over 100% of your worst days. You woke up today. You have the option to choose to be greater in this moment. Be greater.
That was a powerful word from the two of you. Principal Pugh, you're currently in these consulting streets.
Yes, heavy.
Yeah. And so living this life of not just being responsible for a single school, but you're out here making the attempt to impact the world.
That's right.
But
a million students.
There you go. But before we get there, I want to go back in time to your principal days, and I want to ask you what was it about, and watch how I word this. What was it about Samantha that you ultimately concluded that there is a school leader in me?
That's a good question. What was it in me?
See, I noticed I didn't ask you about Power Pugh.
Yes, I love that. I had to go back. Let me switch my hat real quick. Samantha was a student who needed a lot. Samantha was a very intelligent student, really driven, really loved to learn, I'm still a student to the work, right? That's why I love it. But I needed something else. My life was in an uproar. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and crack had ravaged my neighborhood and my family. And my mother was the one. We had 9 people living in a 2-family house. My mother was the only person working. And I had to get up and go to school every day and get on a train and a bus and go to school every day. And by the time I got to school, I was ready for the challenge of the work intellectually, but I wasn't ready for the challenge emotionally. So I was a kid sitting there like that had all this talent and skill built in me, but no one could activate it in the way that I needed. So 2 teachers came into my life and changed my life. I'm still friends with them to this day. One just retired. I'm super excited about it. And what they poured into me, one was an English teacher. She tapped into my love of reading and my love of writing and my love of expressing myself. Another one was a Spark counselor who taught me about what does it mean to go to historically Black? What does it mean to have Black excellence and all of that? Like, she was my first. And I said to myself, if I could replicate those things that shifted my life in a school building, imagine how many, like, they wouldn't have to wait so long to be me. Like, they're going to be even better than me faster. So that was always my inspiration. So when I fast forward, when I became a teacher and went into education, I was just like, yeah, there's not enough Black voices making decisions. That's one. Or people that come from the neighborhoods that resemble the schools that we're serving, making decisions. I know what a kid like me needed. So why wouldn't I go and create a system where kids like me get what they need? So that is how Samantha activated into a principal. And I said, that's it. I am going to be relentless. And now my work is to do the same thing, but replicate it for leaders, right? Because I think about, what did I need as a leader, a Black woman, a leader in some of the most adverse situations? What did I need? So that's what I now provide for the people that I serve.
You know, listening to you and me framing this question using your first name, given your work, given your drive, your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is for the audience. This is particularly for those who are working extremely hard. How do you separate Samantha from power? I'm
intentional about not separating them. I'm intentional because they're one and the same. Like Henry Louis Gates talks about liminal space, right? Having to live in spaces as a Black person, having to live in the middle. And what I realized, there's no living in the middle for me. I am Samantha Principal Power Pugh, right? And everything that means. I am a girl who loves life and loves people and loves to laugh and loves fun. But I am relentless and unapologetic about my quest to change communities. I am relentless about it. My people are so important to me, and seeing people be successful is so important to me. And I think the danger comes in when you try to separate those two. My intention has been to merge those two. So, but I am intentional about sometimes I got to power down. They'll tell you I will go off the grid.
Yeah.
For weeks or months at a time. I will go off the grid because I'm also an empath. So I absorb energy, right? So as much as I put out is what I absorb. And because I'm an empath, I exhaust. So probably after this, I'll be down for a couple of days. But I'm intentional about doing things to take care of myself. I didn't know that about me before. I didn't know that I needed to unplug and shut down. I know that about me now. I'm a lot more intentional about telling people that that's what I'm going through. So I also know what fuels me, right? I need to be around people. I need to be in schools. People are always like, well, you can run your company and you could do it virtual. I was like, not my company. Right. My company requires me to be there. I also will tell you, I become a part of your school culture. When you get Principal Power Pugh, that's what you get. You don't get a video. You don't get anything. I'm showing up. I'm talking to your kids. I'm talking to your parents, because we are communal people. We are a communal people. Yeah. So I would be remiss if I didn't lead and support from a communal way. So keeping those two. And then when people talk about work-life balance, I love that. And I'm like, you're never going to have work-life balance. You're never going to have it, right? Like, so let's get rid of that. Let's figure out how to integrate those things, right? If self-care is super important to you, then you know part of your work is self-care. If you know that these things can coexist. We constantly tell people of color that they got to split themselves in a society where we're constantly trying to figure out where we fit in. So I tell people, merge those two things, but be intentional about meeting the needs of each one of them. So
I love what you said. And, you know, I particularly love when you said, but you do find ways to power down. Yeah. Because, you know, I was Principal Kafele 24/7 for a long time. And I had to figure out, and this took a lot of thought. And effort. I had to figure out how to check Principal Kafele at the door.
That's right.
Because he was coming in and he was still like in his husband parent role. He was still Principal Kafele. And I said, nah, I gotta morph into Baruti. I gotta morph into dad and husband and all this. But it took a long time. I mean, is he really shut down? No, because with the consulting work, there's all this administrative work. There's phone calls, there's Zoom. So I'm always in his space, but I do find time and ways to put him on the shelf.
That's right.
And let me be Baruti Kafele now, right? Right. And yeah. So, but I love all that. Before we go to that break, we said I want to stay with you for a little bit more, and then we'll do it. You know, Principal Power Pugh. As a principal, I had certain priorities that I defined. They had nothing to do with my evaluator record, the superintendent, none of them. These are things I said, these are non-negotiables. These are my core priorities as a principal and, quite frankly, as a teacher, right? So I want to hear from you. When you reflect back on your principal years, what were your core priorities? One might say core values, right? Core guiding principles. What were those things that you said, these are non-negotiable, these are going to get done?
That's right. One is we curate a space for excellence. So I was very intentional about what my space looked like, down to the colors, down to how I scripted what I wanted people to say. Right. It was a little crazy, but I did. I scripted what I wanted people to say. And I was intentional that we are a service organization, right? The people don't service us. We service them. Yeah. So our parents and our kids are your customers, and we're going to always deliver the highest customer service. That also means that we're responsive to when people walk through the door. We're really intentional. So like every morning, I was big on threshold. Every single one of my teachers had to be at the door, shaking hands, fist bump or something. And every day you would catch me outside, do a morning arrival, shaking every single kid's hand and every parent giving them a fist bump, even after the pandemic. So, right, like, so creating this space, community is not just within our walls, community is outside our walls. So I also come from parents who have been disenfranchised by schools. So it's super important to me that schools always welcome parents in a way that was intentional. So like that's one thing. Our school building is our community, and we are in service. Another one of my key principles are it's great to train the heart, but if we're not training the head with the same sort of, if not more, then we're always going to be talking about instruction. We're always going to talk about how people learn. I actually had to stop saying the word instruction, that it was teaching and learning, because I felt like when you talk about just instruction, that it just sounds like you just giving the kids stuff. And I'm like, nah, it's a reciprocal process. So we were very intentional about language around teaching and learning, because everybody in the building are learners. And also very much so taking care of yourself. I was a part of my school community. Everything that went on, I pretty much knew, because I didn't have an open door policy, so you couldn't just roll up on me, but I was in the community. So every morning I was intentional about the first hour. Can't nobody talk to me. Don't send me an email or a text message. I'm in classrooms, period. If it's an emergency, so everybody knew. So I was that principal that people would see. And I also believe in being within the community in which you serve. So they would see me at Costco's and BJ's, and the kids would see me at Target on the weekend. So because I wanted them to not see me as something separate. And I also said to my teachers, be intentional about going to things that are important to our communities. And I think mostly is we're in this together. I think I was so successful in the short periods of time because I was able to inspire people to work together, that we're in this together. So I was intentional about how we made decisions in my school. I was intentional about the level of communication, the amount of communication, what we communicated, making sure that there were pictures, making sure that people saw us as a community. And then because of those things, I think I was able to experience a lot of success. So those are and you know, what's funny when I say I don't separate, those are my core values of life too. Mm-hmm. I come from a very big family. So family is super important to me. Like my daughter will tell you, any space that we live in has to be something that my family can come to, right? Alice is shaking her head because she knows how I love to cook, and there's always somebody over my house and always pouring into each other. And I also believe like the more I pour into you, the more I receive. So when people come into my space and let me cook for them and let me love on them, it's a reciprocal process. So I believe that for my family too. I'm very much so like, this is what we're going to do. I'm very like strategic in my mind. I don't want to execute, but I have a strategy. So I'm saying to my daughter, like, what's the plan? There's always a plan. What's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? So when I say that you can't separate them, it's very hard to separate those two, because my core values in my own life is something that I saw in schools.
I love it. I got one more I want to throw at you, and then let's talk about the conference coming up.
Yes.
You became the principal at James Baldwin High School, transfer school, and left after a year.
Yep.
You became sick of the system and felt that it wasn't set up to really impact kids. And then you went on to the charter world and became a turnaround principal, and you stayed a turnaround principal. Yeah. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to talk to the fam out there. What would you say to someone out there right now in real time that may be going through a lot of what you were going through at that time, who's frustrated with their current situation, desirous of a better situation, but may lack the confidence to make a move?
That's right.
What would you say to that person?
So like one of my power moves, I always tell people, get your mind right, money right, health right, and get ready for war. Because something that somebody told me the other day, a few years ago when I first became a principal, was you can't be afraid to get fired. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, like that hit me, right? Like I was like, what do you mean? She was like, because in the work that you're going to do with the passion that you have, what you believe for kids, the system doesn't necessarily support that. So if you don't have those things in order, then you're gonna be the slave to somebody. Mm. And I was just like, oh, right, like that hit. So I say to people, get your mind right. And when I think back to my principal days, like after I became a principal, that's when I discovered all the stuff that was happening in my mind. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with seasonal depression. Hence, that's why I withdraw during these times. I also had adult onset of ADHD, which I believe I had. So if I'd have known those things about my mind beforehand, I probably could have stayed longer. Also, like my body, right? Like you gotta take care of yourself. This job will do a number on, I was like 36 years old and had high blood pressure from this work. So taking care of your body is super important. And in your finances, if you're worried about trying to pay your rent and trying to take care of other things, how you gonna go to work? And so you're gonna be stressed out. So all of those things was in the background, right? Is the background noise to the work that you're trying to do. And that has something to do with your sustainability. So when I think about my first year as a principal, my best friend was was killed in a car accident. And 2 months later, my father died of ALS. So I was dealing with a bunch of grief, but didn't deal with the grief, because in my mind, I'm like, you're the first in your family to graduate from college. You're going to be the first one out of poverty. You're becoming a principal. You're like the savior of our family. So you're going to go and do this thing, even though it's not a right fit for you. Fit is so important. Mm-hmm. Fit where I was emotionally at the time. And then I remember opening my computer. I remember going to the projects across the street and grabbing some kids out of a very bad situation and bringing them to school. And then I got back to my school and I opened up my email and saw about 60 compliance things that I had to have in 2 days. Nobody cared that this little lady in her sneakers ran across the street in the projects to get kids. They didn't care that we had changed the attendance, like surmountable amount of attendance. They only cared about whether or not I hit these points of compliance. And if you're a New York City principal, it's like 300 things that you have to do to be in compliance with the city. And that's when I knew this is not set up for our babies. And being a transfer school principal told me even more, because people didn't pay me any attention. They were like, yeah, those are and I'm like, nah, but these kids can really do it. We just need these resources. If we could just do this, get about 4 more people like me. If we get them some real live mental health and intercede in their reading ability, we could really change it. And when I requested more money or requested money be moved, it was like, nah, we're not doing that. Here's your compliance things. So I just knew then that our system wasn't set up for our babies. And I said, the charter school world said to me that I could make decisions on my own. And I could decide. So that's why I left. But fit is very important. Don't take a job because it's the cool thing to do, right? Or your friends are becoming principals. So you got to take this trash school that you don't love, or you're not ready for that. Right? Like, because that was the other thing, like you might not be ready for that. But really, and it goes back to what I said earlier, purpose over position, purpose over power. So you've got to understand your purpose, what kind of school is going to work for you and how you're going to work that school. And also understand that the system isn't necessarily set up. So your job right then and there isn't to change the system, it's to impact the lives of the kids, which will indeed later on change the system. So
Love it. I want to take a brief pause, the two of you, and there's a big conference coming up this weekend at Columbia University, OSG Off School Grounds, and both of you are going to be there, participants. So what I want you to do, and I'm going to just be quiet and listen, tell us what is OSG, and tell us about the conference and how folks can attend.
First of all, I want y'all to notice how both me and Allison light up when you say OSG. Like,
yeah, I noticed.
Like, we just get super excited. I was having a conversation with a superintendent the other day. She was like, I don't know about this OSG. I said, let me tell you something, right? Not too much about my crew. That's first off. Secondly, we were everything that we needed, because during the pandemic, somebody by the name of Dr. Dennis McKeesey dreamt up something, and he said, my people are going to need each other. And he brought 22 principals together every Thursday during the hardest times of our life. We cried on the meetup. We supported each other. We showed up at each other's schools with masks on. We gave each other resources. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. We were exactly what we needed during it, and we continue to be that. So Off School Grounds we get excited about it because it means so much to us professionally and so much to us personally, because for many of us, and I'm sure Allison will agree, these last 3 years would have not been the same if we didn't have this organization that we love. So we're OSG, All School Grounds Coalition. I think here's my pen.
Yeah, right.
We are a coalition of educators across the world, because we started right here in
international.
We are international, and we make the impossible possible. We make it cool and make it look cool to be an educator, right? Like, I've never been any place where there were people that love sneakers like me, that love hip hop like me, that could talk about instruction like me. Hey, yes. Principal Kafele, yes. Those are customized sneakers we got for him, surprised him with at the Black Educators Conference. Yes. And we wanted, because he said he didn't own it. I was like, so Dr. Melissa Chester called me. She was like, we got to do something. I said, I got him. Just get his size. And I got him. And we presented him, which was an honor for both me and my daughter and Allison and all of us Smart Chicks with Kicks. It was an honor to do that. So, that just warmed my heart. So we talk about, OSG, we meet up every Thursday. It's like a church.
It's a virtual meetup.
It's a virtual meetup. We're still on Zoom. And we grapple the issues that we were grappling with anyway off school grounds, right? Like, how to do this thing. This is like really stressful. I got a multi-generational staff. I'm tired. I don't have any money. Like, all of those things, the things that we were talking about off school grounds anyway, we put it in a place where more people came together. So we meet up, we do all this great stuff, and now it's metamorphosized to something really big. And our second conference is coming up, and I'm gonna let Allison talk a little bit more about OSG.
So OSG to me, thank you, Dr. Dennis McKeesey. And again, Simone and April for pulling me into the tribe where I met my Pepper over here, Power, my sister, the love and camaraderie that we have for each other, just not to see our schools do well, but to see each other do well, whether in our business or our marriage. Making sure your children are good. To have an organization that looks at the entire person, because you don't have to be a leader to be part of Off School Grounds. You don't even have to be an educator to be part of Off School Grounds. You just have to have a dedication to children to be a part of Off School Grounds. And how we support each other, how we support our communities, how we show up for each other, how, I mean, we there's so many different offshoots. We got Smart Chicks with Kicks, but then we also have the cool kids, right? There was a time in which I had COVID. Now, one thing everybody knows about Dr. Inspiration is my hair has been short for 30 years. I do not own a comb or brush.
Yes.
I do not own a comb or brush. And I had COVID and my hair was sticking up. And it was like, let's get on Zoom and make Allison happy. I love these women so much. And this is how hood I am. I went and wet my hair and used a plastic fork to comb my hair so I could sit on Zoom with my sisters when I had COVID because they wanted to make sure that I was good. The level of support that you receive, and they're like, yo, if you can't walk into your school building, you need us to come cover? You need us to come in there?
That's right.
Oh, your deans, you don't have enough dean. Oh, you need us sitting. I don't really have issues in my school, but you don't have enough people to hand out laptops. Okay, no problem. I got you. Oh, you don't have enough laptops. Okay, I got you. So the level of support and love in OSG that you receive from educators from around the world, the opportunities, the inspiration to become entrepreneurs, the inspiration to, let me listen to the ideas that they have out in Cali. Maybe it'll work here in Brooklyn.
That's right.
To be able to sit there and commune with people, right? To go golfing for the first time.
Right. Who would have thunk it?
toy drives. I mean, you name it. And this conference, to be able to sit center stage last year with Dame Dash, Freeway, Chris Emdom, and Ian Brock, who's a young up and coming like dude is doing phenomenal. Trying to teach young kids to code, teenagers to code, and he's a teen himself. To be able to sit center stage last year and speak to educators about how do you think off school grounds for your school? Don't ever think as a leader you need to ask for permission.
That's right.
Ask for forgiveness.
That's right.
This is what was right for my school. And to be able to sit there and tell other educators, right? How do you get to just be free in your school community because you know you are doing the right thing for your school community was liberating for me last year.
That's right.
So I hope that people can come out to Columbia University with Dr. Sheena Baez and Dr. Dennis McKeezy and listen to all of the wonderful speakers and be inspired to go back in on Monday and do the work.
That's right. That's right. I'm a graduate of an HBCU, and shout out to all my HBCU grads and especially my Hampton grads. Homecoming means so much to us. Like homecoming means so much to us, right? Like I just went to, for my 25-year anniversary and my homecoming and what it meant for me. This conference is like homecoming because remember, we are just little squares on. So many of us have not seen each other in person in either a year or never seen each other in person. So it is the homecoming of sorts, right? Like it's the block party of sorts that we get to see each other. And it's something about being in a space with that much energy, right? Like the conference did something for me last year because one, I looked around and I'm like, first of all, one of the great things about OSG that people don't know is that over 25, almost 50% of us have doctorate degrees, right? Where you going where 50% of the people who are African-American got 50%, only 2% of the entire nation has a doctorate, right? Like, so we are already breaking grounds there. And they wear sneakers and they listen to hip hop and they're changing lives in schools. Like, I don't know about y'all, but that's my tribe. Like, those are the people I want to talk shop. I want to talk about how to do observations really well. I want to talk about how to implement culturally responsive teaching. And I want to talk about kicks. And I want to see Freeway perform. And I want to see, we brought back together Freeway and Dame Dash, who hadn't been on a stage for almost 20 years. Not because we curated a space for hip hop, but we curated a space for dreamers. We curated a space for people to come together and feel purposeful. I believe that reunion came together because we gave more of a sense of purpose to both Freeway and Dame Dash. So like, it's so powerful. It's coming up. The tickets are still on sale. You could buy your tickets up until Sunday. It's 2 days of just fire. Like we have some of the greatest speakers across the country. Dr. Marcus Jackson is on here. I see you.
Dr. Chess is on here.
Dr. Chess is on here. So like we're gonna really do the thing. Dr. Marcus Jackson last year really did his thing. We still have a tennis ball in my house for what he talks about. And more powerfully, he talked about his journey with his mom with dementia. Mm-hmm. And like that, first of all, I had to walk out the room, but I came back. And the time that he took to talk to me about what that means, right? To be a leader and do this work and still be power and still be in grief was transformational for me. So you're going to get a little bit of everything. You're going to get the intellectual stimulus. You're going to get the love, because when you come in the building, you're going to hear my voice screaming, "Hey, welcome!" And I'm going to hug you and all of that stuff. You're going to, your iron is going to get sharpened. You're going to have a good time. You're going to get some fashion tips. It's going to be all of that encompasses Black culture. Like, it's time for us to change what this Black educational culture looks like. And because OSG gives us the permission to show up that way that I didn't have before. So we're changing what it looks like, the look of
what's also dope about OSG is I think that the collaboration with different organizations, right? It's not just OSG. It's the blending of, let's think about the Divine Nine, right? It's the blending of Black Educators Rock. It's the blending of BU. It's the blending of Dr. Kafele, right? Because we should not be in competition with each other. We have to be in collaboration with each other in order to do right for our children. So I think that that's also like extremely meaningful, to be in a room with people of different professional organizations who just all want to do well for our people, and just to do it in a fun way.
SA, I appreciate all that. Folks, if you're interested, you got till Sunday to check it out, right? To register so that you can be in New York next weekend. What is it? Friday and Saturday, right?
Friday and Saturday at the prestigious Teachers College at Columbia University.
Yeah. So let's do it, folks. All right, let's get back to our conversation, and then at the end, let's revisit that. Make sure anybody that checked in late that they get the information. So I'm just adjusting my screen here. Here we go. I want to move to these talking points. I'm calling this shifting into your next gear of leadership. Let me get my screen right here. We are. Let me get rid of that and switch over to this. And here we go. Dr. Farrington, and as the fam out here, the ones who are with us every week know, I always ask my guests, send me about 4 talking points that you're really passionate about, and then let's go hard on them. And we're getting to them late because I got caught up into what we all talked about. So which is always a good thing. But Dr. Farrington, you said I have a passion for turning adversity into triumph, right? And I thought about our theme, shifting gears, right? Shifting into your next gear of leadership. So address that talking point, but while doing so, talk to the fam out here about the mindset that's required for turning adversity into triumph. Because as the two of you know, that's not easy for everybody. Sometimes we get stuck in the adversity. Sometimes the adversity drives us out of what we're passionate about doing. So talk to us about that mindset for converting adversity into triumph within ourselves. Floor is yours.
So I strongly believe, and it's a scientific fact, that leaves die so trees can grow. When a leaf falls off the tree and it falls on the ground, the nutrients go back into the soil. The roots of that tree takes those nutrients and the tree grows. I can't get stuck in everything I went through. I have to take that pain, turn it into passion, and take that passion and turn it into action. And the action has to be positive, because a lot of us do take action, but it's normally in the negative. It's normally choosing self-harm or harming others. How do I take everything that I've experienced, everything that I've felt while experiencing those things, and train other people through them, train children through them, train adults through them? Because we don't know what to do. And, I was watching a news interview the other morning with Regina King, and she was talking about her son dying. And she said, what she learned about grief is it's love with no place to go. That I was sitting there like, girl, talk that talk.
Yeah.
Now, when you use that in leadership, you have to think about the adversity could be you're dealing with an attendance crisis. Okay, now what? We can't just talk about why a kid is absent. You got to do something about why a kid is absent. I have tattooed on me, and all 3 of my children have tattooed on them, and the name of my company is Adversity is My Strength. Mm-hmm. I have to use every real life experience, and what's the lesson from it? What's the positive lesson from it? And what do I do next? I cannot get stuck in where I was before, right? I cannot get stuck. People who are molested, they get stuck in the years in which they were molested, even though they get older.
Mm-hmm.
They stay right there mentally, although their body gets older. You can't get stuck in your pain. You have to acknowledge that you're hurt. You have to acknowledge that somebody may have hurt you. But now what? And how do you help other people get through those circumstances? You got to get stuck with the fact that not everybody is going to be a good teacher, because not everybody's a good performer.
Mm.
You can have some people that can get through a teaching certification test. That doesn't mean you're a good teacher. But how do I help that person? Because the adversity is not the greatest teacher. But how do you make them a better performer? How do you give them those tools? Not just to lesson plan, because you can have the best lesson plan, but can you perform the lesson? So you really have to look at what are some of the struggles, identify them, and then how do we get over them and move through them comfortably. And again, it goes to the idea where I talked about people being vulnerable. As a leader, how do you get your staff vulnerable enough to say, I'm struggling with teaching kids how to read. I'm struggling with teaching kids how to write an essay. I'm struggling with teaching kids the basic things. Stay off your cell phone. How is your staff? How do you get your staff to be vulnerable enough to say that to you, where they don't feel defensive or they don't feel like they're incapable, right? Because teaching is a very, very personal profession. You're not moving folders. You're moving human beings. So it can be embarrassing when a teacher is ineffective, and they'll become hermits. But children will die because of that. So you have to use adversity as your strength. You have to turn everything into a triumph.
Folks out there, I hope you got your pen handy and you're taking good notes, because there was a lot said there. But what jumped out for me out of everything you said, all those nuggets you dropped, how, as leaders, I'm talking to the fam out there now, how do you get your teachers to be vulnerable? You think about those teachers in the building where there's a wall, a brick wall between the two of you. So administration over here, teachers over here, and then this wall. You can't be vulnerable with a wall dividing the two of you, right? So the question's appropriate. And my mirror, you got to go to your mirror and ask yourself, is there any aspect of my leadership that is helping teachers to become vulnerable so that we can have the real conversations, as opposed to just faking the funk and thereby children not benefiting? I love it. I love it.
And vulnerability is so important, because a lot of us haven't been taught to be vulnerable, right? Yeah. As Black women, we taught, like our biggest thing is everybody tells us how strong we are, right? Like, you're super strong. But it's like, if I show up vulnerable, then I show up weak, right? Because we make these two things similar, analogous to being weak and being vulnerable. We're actually vulnerable is the epitome of strength, because being able to get in touch with who you really are and share that, you got to have a level of strength to be able to do that. And it's like, I go to Allison School, I go to a bunch of, of course, all the great work. I noticed something about their teachers. They all wearing sneakers, right? Like Dr. A.J. Johnson, when I go to their schools, their teachers, it's like a flex, right? And I pointed out, and I said, just you showing up in sneakers changed the culture of your school. Imagine if you show up vulnerable, how that's going to change the culture in your school. Right? So you have to model, or you have to be the thing that you want people to be. So if vulnerability is it, then you got to be vulnerable. Like, this is my first year as a principal, my second year. I'm still figuring this out, but I bet you one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it 100%, and I'm going to learn, but I'm going to learn alongside you. When you mess up, I need help with, right? Like, I was very visual with my mentor. Like, when Dennis came to my school, I was very visual to him. Because even though I was already 12 years into the principalship, I wanted them to see, like, I still have somebody else that comes in and gets me all the way together, right? So I could tell you the culture, who your principal is by spending 15 minutes in your school. And I tell people that all the time, because we have the ability to shift culture. If your teachers suck, that's because you're not doing something to build them or get them out, right? Like if you've been a principal for 10 years and your teachers have sucked 10 years, and it's not your teachers, it's you, right? So like, and then I say to them, okay, if your teachers suck, show me your schedule. Right? Show me a schedule. I would say 6 times out of 10, principals don't even have a schedule that they work for. Show me your budget. And I'm like, well, you put $500,000 into building this, but nothing into textbooks and instruction, right? So like, who are you being? Who are you showing up as? You gotta say, I'm making a mistake, but you also gotta model how you get up from the mistake. And I think like that's something that also led to one of my successes. I said these people like, hey, this is gonna be hard. I'm not the expert in all things, but I'm the expert in these things. And if you trust me and follow me in these things, I'm gonna ask you for help in those other things. And people couldn't believe it, right? Like I share my story of being depressed and having ADHD and all of those things because I want people to feel that there's possibility in everything that they do. If you don't leaving me or finish with me not feeling like something is possible, then I haven't done my job. Right. But you have to be vulnerable and model those things that you want to see because people are watching and it's influencing whether positively or negatively. And you get to make a choice every day of which way it's going to go.
Key word you just used, modeling. If I'm just talking it, but I'm not demonstrating or exhibiting it, then hey, what is it? Right? What is it? Let me stay with you, Power Pugh. You indicated, I love this too. Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man unveiled my own essence, illuminating paths not just for me, but for others in the shadows. So, you know, as I was saying to Dr. Farrington, you know, I'm in this shifting gears phase as far as this presentation. So I'm calling these the shifting gears moments. So talk to the fam out there about how do I go about finding my leadership essence? And let me say this before you jump in here. Walking in Power Pugh when I started as just Baruti Kafele, that wasn't enough because Baruti Kafele wasn't necessarily a leader outside of being a classroom teacher. You know, maybe leader in the house here, but in terms of the world, I don't know that. That's not my world. That's not my space. So in becoming a leader, I had to find like what is that? What is that going to look like from me rooted in my personality? Because I can't be Joe Clark on the movie because that's not my personality. I can't be my principal idol, Frank Mickens, right? I can't be him. I love him. I admire him. His book is sitting right here. Right. But I can't be him. So talk to us about finding one's leadership essence.
It goes back to passion and purpose, right? Like I say to the leaders that I coach now, if you were not talking to me outside of the building and I sent somebody here, what would they say was your leadership voice, right? And most people can't answer that. And that's usually our problem of practice for the entire year. What is the thing? What is your thing, right? Like, what is the thing that you do? But I realize that people can't usually answer that question is because they get into the seat for the wrong reasons. They want to be principals because it's cool. They want to be principal because there's a lot of money. It's the next thing to do on the ladder of going up, right? So you can't find a leadership voice because you don't have a voice. Right? You've been listening to too many. You have a personality, but you don't have a voice. And those two things are different. So like, what's fueling that voice? And I think it goes back to really understanding who you are, right? People knew. So I lost a teacher during the pandemic. And it was the most devastating thing to my community and to me as a school leader, because I had never experienced that type of grief. And one thing that happened was when I didn't know that my teacher passed away, my teachers found out that my teacher passed away. And they called me. And they were calling me crying. And as much as I was like, everybody's putting their emotional weight, my friend said to me, you curated a culture where people felt communal, that they could call you. and that you would support them and it was okay for you to cry and be vulnerable because they figured that y'all would figure this out together. And I said, bingo, that's it, right? Like, bingo, that's it, right? So my leadership voice says, I'm about this life. I am relentless. I will do whatever it takes to make sure, but I'm going to love you in this. And I'm going to make sure you have everything possible that you could be successful. So that showed up in everything that I did. That showed up how I showed up for my teachers, how they showed up for each other, how they showed up for, and ultimately how they showed up for the children, how the children showed up for each other. So that's super important, is to figure out not that personality, but that voice. What is it that you want to say? And how do you want your work to say that, right? So my work with turning around a school that was closed and says that anything is possible. That's my voice. Anything is possible when you really curate the conditions. You know, like, we got out to my kids, my first set of kids are turning 30 and 40. When they call me and say, I became a teacher because of you, that's my voice. Yeah. So really thinking about what is your purpose and your passion, and let that be your voice. And then you got to align key actions, key goals and key actions to that voice. And then that becomes implemented and institutionalized before you know it.
Strong stuff. You and again, you the two of you feel free to jump in on each other's point and wherever you feel you want to. Let me go back to Dr. Farrington, and you indicated here that totally human-centered adults and children need love in school. I want to break this down into two parts. First, what do you mean by totally human-centered? What are you saying?
I can't leave any part of anybody's life out of the work. Point, period, blank, right? If a teacher is going through a divorce, that teacher walks into that classroom upset and is not giving his or her best. If a teacher is stressing because they don't have enough money for their car note, because let's be real about this. I got a lot of young teachers with young children with a lot of student loan debt. And I'm not trying to put their business out there, but this is the life of a teacher, right? I think about my own daughter, who's a third-year teacher who just became a mother, who has only been out of college for 3 years, living on her own with a car note. I think about all of that. What was it like for me in that moment? And yes, I'm supposed to be teaching history, but I'm thinking, I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch to teach these kids. I'm thinking, like, I'm really on a real strict budget because my first teacher paycheck was $912. So I really have to think about everything that we need as a child and an adult as a leader, because everything impacts the child that we're supposed to teach. If you got up this morning and you had an argument with your husband and wife, you walk into school angry. If you got up this morning and you got a bad phone call from your child's school, or during the day, you got a bad phone call from your child's school, you mad at fifth period. So you really have to think about everything that everybody in your school, now that doesn't mean internalize it, but you do have to think about it. You have to be cognizant of the personality of the third period class versus the seventh period class. How tired is a teacher when they get to seventh period? Because the energy that they have during second period is different than the energy that they have during seventh period because they're just tired. Do I need to walk down the hall and go ahead, go take a walk, go get some water. I'll cover your class for 2 seconds. Because the energy, as dope as that lesson was second period, I needed to be that dope seventh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I mean by being completely human-centered.
So my second part then, and just considering the platform and why people tune in, what are your suggestions for how a leader might lead the effort in disseminating love throughout the school? Because clearly I'm with everything you just said, and clearly in my mind there are people on here right now where that total human-centered approach may not be happening, right? We may be losing sight of the fact that these are real human beings with real problems, real challenges, real issues, and so forth. But I'm so focused on the fact that children have to learn that I lose sight of that. So what might a leader do toward disseminating love through the building? And I'm gonna say this before you jump in. If I haven't positioned myself amongst staff that I matter to them, then I don't know how I could disseminate love, because I have no credibility in their eyes. I'm the enemy. He's administration, right? As opposed to he's part of the fam here. But let me stop talking. Floor is yours.
So again, I lead with love. I can't. There's not a person in the world that knows me. There's not a person in the world that has ever worked for me. There's not a kid in my 25 years of being an educator that can say that lady ain't like me. Even if I didn't. Even if I didn't. I'm going to call you to check on you if you're sick for too many days. I'm going to, and this is with my staff, you tell me your mama died, I'm at the funeral. When it comes to my babies, I probably have the largest food pantry inside the school in the entire state. And I'll be bold enough to say the country. I'll be bold enough to say the country.
Yeah.
Where these kids can get anything from baby diapers to turkey wings, cleaning products to clothes. They can actually wash and dry their clothes, and everything is free. And it's neat, and it's organized, and it smells good.
Yeah.
There are air fresheners in the hallway, in every classroom, water coolers all over the place, because our babies in New York City public schools, they choose to starve because the food is so bad. They choose to be thirsty because they're afraid of the water fountains. So when you add these small little nuggets to your school, simple things, when it was time for student loan forgiveness and October 31st was the cutoff date, and I noticed people didn't come to me to get their papers signed off on. I know all my teachers got student loan debt. I walked around to everybody's class and fill us out real fast so I could sign it and fax it in for you.
She made me fill it out too.
Doing small things like that. Congratulations on your baby. Or I heard your baby was sick. Is everything okay? Yeah. How are you dealing with that? Are you all right? Sending them on conferences. Giving them a break from the building sometimes is important. Sending them to the ASCD conference to see you.
I appreciate that. Hey, let me say this to you. I wanted to show the video of the pantry, but when I showed the video of my brother Akbar Cook on some of those videos, Facebook was going to shut me down. So I couldn't. I just couldn't take the chance because I needed that video with him on accessible to everybody, as I need this video to be accessible to everybody. So therefore, tell us about the pantry, right? Because to really appreciate it, one has to see the video. So tell them where they can see the video as well. Because when I heard about it before I met you, I had a thought in my mind of what it could be. But when I saw the video, I said, this is a freaking supermarket, right? So, so this was something very different from what I had conceptualized. So talk about that for a minute and tell us how we can see the video.
So how we can see the video on any of my Facebook or Instagram platforms, or Research and Service Panthers on Instagram, Principal Farrington on Instagram. my name, Allison Farrington, on Facebook. And all you're going to see is videos of the school and my grandchild. I'm going to be honest with you. My baby Cairo is everything for me. The idea for the food pantry, so the premise behind Research and Service, the school itself, is I took the ideas of Booker T. Washington: purposeful instruction, purposeful research, and purposeful service. Our kids do research and look at what are some of the issues that they're facing in their communities. They each take a course, a capstone course, and they have to research an issue. And then they have to come up with a service component for it. 8 years ago, our young people were researching the connection between poverty and obesity. And the service component was they went and they volunteered at local food pantries. And they noticed that they themselves had a need for food. And they came back to the school and they asked me if we could open up a food pantry. And I said, okay, no problem. But if I do it, because the pictures that I had saw of the food pantries that they were volunteering in, this was not a place in which I would feel dignified in getting items for my household. Like I wouldn't feel good going there. I felt like the lettuce was wilted, the cans were dented. There's no dignity in that. It's a reminder of the unfortunate circumstance. And then again, I'd make the choice to do something illegal or to starve. So I said, when I designed this food pantry, I really wanted to be a place in which our young people can shop in dignity. And I use the word shop. Everything is free. But I do have a point of sale system because I am using the school's budget. This is supplies. The same way I can order a pack of paper or a box of pens, I need to order sanitary napkins because there are girls who come to school who need them. I need to order Pampers because I have children who have children, or have children who are watching their newborn siblings and don't know what to do. I have children who are raising their parents. I have children who are raising their siblings. I have children who are homeless. I have families in non-cook shelters. I have families who are coming out of shelters and into new apartments. I have families who are dealing with fire. I have families who are dealing with domestic violence. I have families who are dealing with so much tragedy that food insecurity is a real thing. So I want them to be able to come to school and get whatever it is they need, from a washcloth, toothpaste, a toothbrush, socks, shoes. It does not make a difference. And it's neat and it's organized. But then also I use it as an opportunity for students to learn. I do have one adult who operates it all day, but I also have 2 students who are employed there every semester. And they run it and manage it like a real store. They have to look at expiration dates. They have to read reports to see what items are in stock or out of stock, or what items aren't moving quick enough. So now you can take this skill set and open up your own store. You've learned that in high school, and I paid you to learn that in high school. And, in New York City, every corner store has a cat in it. We even have, it's a little stuffed cat that we move around to the different items. Because all the kids, and they're used to the corner store cat. So we have our corner store cat as well.
Wow.
And it is larger. To give you guys some context, it probably is larger than many people's living rooms. And it's very neat. It's very organized. You can find anything from Slap Your Mama seasoning, for those of you down in the South, to Lowry's, to us up here in the North. Right? You're going to get some ground turkey. You're going to get some oxtail. You're going to get some shrimp. You're going to get some ribs, because I really wanted it to be a place in which kids can get items with dignity. But then what I also added on to that is I built out a state-of-the-art kitchen. And I have a culinary artist who comes in to teach kids how to use the items from the pantry in their household. Because before, what we noticed were kids were getting the cup of noodle soup. They were getting that instant stuff. That's not healthy all the time. That's a little grab and go. Mm-hmm. But now I need to teach you how to use the items in your household. But then there's also cleaning products, right? You can get your Tide. You can get dishwashing liquid. You can get your bleach. You can get your toilet paper. You can get your paper towel. You have to have every item that your household needs to run successfully in a school pantry. And I tell people all the time, okay, if you're going to replicate it, fine, but you better not put it in the basement. Don't serve these kids food out of bins. Don't make them feel dehumanized because they're in need. They didn't put themselves in that position.
Yeah.
And then also, I want people to think about, who are your kids that are house poor? Meaning their parents are putting all that money into a mortgage. Their parents are working. Their parents are involved. But that mortgage is something else. You got to think about your entire school community, not just the ones that you think are impoverished, because not everybody is. You may have some more affluent homes where mom and dad are never around because they're traveling for work. What does that baby get? What supports does that baby get? You can't just assume. And provide for the entire community. Don't just think, who are my homeless children? Because guess what? Many of us don't know how many kids are living with their grandparents. Many of us don't know how many kids are living with their aunts and uncles. You can't just assume. And if you treat it like it's there for everybody, everybody feels free to go in and use it. But then you do also have to think about, so like for instance, with our washer and dryer, there's a tiered system to it. There's some kids that'll just come in with their laundry bag and have no problem going over there and wash their clothes. There's some kids that have a great relationship with the staff, and when they come in the morning, and yes, my babies do go through metal detectors, they'll leave their laundry bag with the person at the metal detector. But then we also have a special locker where you put that laundry bag in that locker, and we check it every day, and we just wash your clothes. We don't know who it belongs to. We wash your clothes. We just put it back into the locker. At the end of the school day, you're going to have some clean, dry, folded clothes. And we don't know who it is it belongs to. So you got to think about the level of services that you're providing as well. You have to be really strategic with the love that you put on folks.
Said a lot there. And you know, you got me reminiscing. You know, when Dr. McKeezy was on here last week, we talked about how he started OSG at almost the exact same time that I launched this platform. And between what you all do with the meetups and what I do on Saturday morning with this, I mean, I just don't know where somebody could get anything more powerful. What the two of you have been dropping since 11. I guess I took a few minutes and then you came on about 11:15 or so, right? And what the two of you been dropping, man, where you gonna find this, man? Where you gonna find this kind of information? You know, so and to the fam out there, I'm not gonna go all day. It's almost 1 o'clock. Let me get one more from Principal Pugh, and then we're going to do a part 2. I'll get with them and schedule part 2, but we still got to do our BAM impact questions, right? So hang in there with me, right? Hang in there. And I see them numbers, man. Y'all, the numbers are like quite high, right? So Principal Pugh, let me put this up here. Where we at? Here we go. You indicated in this is the one that really resonated with me. I said, I wonder if I'm interpreting this correctly. You said, in a world craving heroes, I became the tale that whispers caution in the winds of ambition, and that's my superpower. That thing, man, I read that a few times. And you know, and the word tale, you know, because it was TALE, and it just shifted the way I initially thought it, because I paid attention to that particular word. So a two-parter. First part is just tell us what you're saying, and then I'll hit you with the second part.
Well, you know, it's this idea that somebody's coming to save us, right? We're waiting for somebody to come us to save. We're waiting for that thing, that person, that money to save us. Or that position, right, to save us. So it's always like we're waiting and craving for a hero to save us. And me, what I'm trying to say is, And we look for heroes to be perfect. But if we know anything about the hero, whether it be the tragic hero or the hero in any story, they've always had to overcome some adversity. Always. They've always had this tragic thing that happened in their lives that turned them into, whether you think of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all of them. So in a world that's waiting for somebody to come and give them all the answers to how to become a school leader with all the dope stuff that they've done and all the things that they've accomplished, I'm saying, like, I'm the cautionary tale. I've done dope things, but I also have a story, a tale of the things that was not so dope that I wish I would have known before, that I now take with all the things that I know and was successful. I lead from a place and I speak from a place of, I'm not standing in an ivory tower saying it was always great. I'm saying to you, learn from my mistakes and the things that I didn't do. So take some of the dope stuff that I know and that I do, but also at the same time, learn from some of the mistakes. We get hit hard by this leadership and failure because no one teaches us how to fail. They teach us how to be successful, but they don't teach us how to fail. And in this work, you're going to fail more than you don't, right? And it's like, I learned in New Leaders, failure and difficulty are feedback. And so for me, I show up and I am who I am and I speak from where I speak from, not from a place of a person that's gotten all the things right, but a person who has gotten a lot of things right. But I want you to also learn this too. So if you waiting for me to come and be like, yeah, for 20 years, I led a school that was a 90-99. No, that's not it. I did really dope stuff, but I also learned a lot about myself. And that's what I want leaders to do, is revel in the greatness, but also learn from those mistakes. So people who come into contact with me feel comfortable to just be them. I had a principal yesterday, a new client, and this was our very first conversation. And she was like, I could tell, right? Like that first year principal, I'm drowning voice. And she was just whittling off all the things. And I said, pause right there. I was like, you feel lonely? You feel like you can't do this job? Your teachers have turned against you. Your family hates you. All of these things, right? And she just, not even knowing me, we never met. She just bust out crying. She said, everything you said is how I'm feeling. And I said, but I also got a cadre of about 6 other principals that are going through the same thing. You are not alone. And from today forward, you will not be alone. So take this weekend off and we're going to get to work on Tuesday. And we're going to get to work on you professionally and spiritually, because that's the only way you're going to do this work. And I'm going to share some things with you because I stand here as possibility of getting it right, because there's nothing in my life that has come easy. Everything has been hard, but I stand here to tell you that it's possible. So when I say that, right, like when I say whispers and the caution of ambition, don't move too far thinking that everything is going to be great. I want to caution you that it's not, but I also want to caution you, you are not the sum of your failures. You are a sum of your success. Yeah. And that's why I'm power.
I love it. So let me throw that part 2 at you. Right in the middle, it says, I became the tale that whispers caution in the winds of ambition.
Yes.
Talk to us, like you, and you kind of already answered it, through the new client, but let's just go a step further. Talk to the fam now about how do they infuse this superpower relative to that statement, so that as I'm leading, I become that.
Right. So like mindset is important, right? Like mindset is important. Just like we want to teach our kids like about this whole growth mindset. It's interesting how we want adults to teach children that, but as leaders, we don't show it. Right. So we don't share the failures. We share all the things. So your teachers are still whispering behind your back anyway, as you sharing all the great data. They're like, well, what about this? So you might as well share it all. Right. But don't share it in a way that comes from a deficit model. Share it from a way of, this is where we are, but this is where we're going to be. And with some intentional things, we're going to be even better. People need to feel inspired in this work that we do. Because it's so hard. When you're looking at 15% proficiency, 20% proficiency, you're looking at neighborhoods that are below the poverty level historically. It's hard to show up and you're going to see more failure, or you're going to have more messages of failure, just like our children. Our children get more messages, negative messages a day than they do positive. So it's super important that we balance that, and schools balance those messages out. So if kids are getting 85 negative messages before they get to school, y'all got to give 165, right? And it's the same thing with leadership. Yes, those things are not working, but we get caught up in all of the things that's not working. We end up trying to put out fires and all of this stuff, and then before you know it, you're overwhelmed and you got nothing done. But you look cute, right? So the idea is use those things. It's okay, right? But it's only okay is if you do something about it, and you do something about it that's attached to your purpose, where you want, that's going to get you to your goals faster and more efficiently. So that's it. And share those stories of vulnerability, right? People love me because I'm vulnerable. I'm unapologetic about who I am. This is who I am, and this is what you're going to get, right? But I promise you, every time you leave me, you're going to be better about something when you leave me, because I go into everything with purpose. And I want leaders to take on that same opportunity. Yep, that didn't work yesterday. But tomorrow, guess what? I'm going to get this person in this resource, and it's going to work today, or we just going to throw that out the window. So that's that voice in the wind that I want to tell people.
I want to go to our rapid fire, but before we do, Power Pugh, there was something that you said. You gave me these 5 power moves, and we don't have the time today, but I'm gonna do a part 2. But there was one I just need you to address. Get you a crew. I'm gonna quote you on it. Get you a crew. Iron sharpens iron. What's your message there?
Get you a crew, right? Like you saw, if you were on earlier, when Allison and I talk about OSG, we light up. There's something in us that just lights up because your crew, right? Because there's been days where Al has called me like, Power, I don't know. And I'm like, sis, I'll be at your building. What we doing, right? Like it's something about that. We had a sister that they wrongly put her in a newspaper and just was spread. And I showed up at her school on Monday, and she said, what are you doing here? I was like, doesn't it feel good to turn around and see somebody sitting there when you're going through the worst time of your life? Even if I don't do nothing, I want you to know that you ain't by yourself, right? So there's something about a crew. So get you a crew. Get you a crew of other APs, because this job is too lonely. Sometimes you need to talk to people that get it, or sometimes we don't even need. I need to be with Allison, not just because she's a principal, because she's a woman and she's going through things. So there's things that we talk about that's outside of the principalship that's brought us together. You need a crew to do this work. You need, and sometimes your crew, and my crew happens to be off school grounds, but you also need a crew inside that building. Get you a crew. We spend too much time on the teachers who are trash and don't do what they're supposed to do. But we don't spend enough time building and cultivating the people who are on our bus. So focus on the people who are on your bus. Inspire people around a vision, a very clear vision, and a really clear strategy, and a really clear support system, and rock out with that crew, because it's going to push the rest of the people out of there, right? There's people that are clear that they can't fool with OSG, because we too right. It's not going to happen, because we always going to show up for each other. We always going to be there for each other, and we're doing it generationally, right? So like Allison's kid, my kid, all of us have, we support each other. So it's the difference. And as people, our ancestors were communal people, right? Like we come from ancestors that were communal. We did nothing by ourselves in the tribes, and we still don't. But we've gotten here and lost a sense of what community means. So community will change the game. So get you a crew in the building, get you a crew outside of the building, and connect. And that's how sometimes I unplug and power down, is with my crew of people. So,
great stuff. Let's go to our BAM impact questions. These are 21 questions. I'm gonna give you 10, and then the last one I'll give you both, and it's just one sentence or one word. If you find yourself getting ready to give me the whole thing, I'm gonna say, it's too long, right? So just give me that one. If you find yourself putting in a comma, it's too long, right? So here we go. I'm gonna start with Dr. Farrington. And before I do, let me ask you a quick question, Power Pugh. Were you ever an assistant principal?
I was never an assistant principal. I was
I'm-
a dean and a high school coordinator, not assistant principal.
So I'll know how to ask that question when I get to it. All right, here we go, Dr. Farrington. Is education on the right path for underserved students?
Absolutely not.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Absolutely not.
Does Dr. Allison Farrington's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Absolutely so.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
The same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
The children.
What fires you up within the work that you do?
The children.
And what do you absolutely love about the work you do?
The children.
I was waiting for that. What do you dislike about the work you do?
The adults who dismantle the system.
What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
Every life that I've impacted.
And what was your greatest mistake in this work?
Not starting earlier.
Principal Samantha, Pugh, what has been your greatest challenge in this work?
Showing up fully myself and having the impact that I see for kids.
Are you proud of that year before you became principal?
That's probably one of my proudest years.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Absolutely. I endured.
Who inspires you in your work?
My kid and my mom.
What are you reading now? It could be a book, it could be an article, a blog, a tweet, anything.
Start building, stop leading, and start building.
What book? Wait a minute, that's Robin Jackson.
Yeah, sure is right here. Mm-hmm.
That's like my buddy.
Yes. Please introduce me. I love her. Okay.
Oh, I'll do it today. Okay. Where am I at? Okay. What book do you recommend for our viewers today?
Leading Without Power by Max Dupree.
What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
A lot. Oh gosh, this is hard. What do I want to accomplish? I want to help someone open a school district.
That's big. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally right now?
Nope. I have an insatiable need to keep going and keep achieving. I'm working on that.
What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Get up tomorrow. It's another day. You get a new day to make it happen.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Get you a crew. Be vulnerable and speak your truth and let people pour love and truth into you.
And if Principal Power Pugh, Samantha Pugh, was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Power.
Power. And if Dr. Allison Farrington was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Inspiration.
Inspiration. That brings us to the end. And let me say before the fam jumps in here, this was powerful. This was great stuff, man. I just loved it from the very start. Mm-hmm. This was strong stuff, and we didn't even get halfway through.
No, we need a part two.
We definitely need a part two.
I'll reach out to you soon and get that date. But to the fam out there, you know how we celebrate our guests, and I see you started long ago. Hit us up with the emojis. Whatever your favorite emojis are, whatever platforms you're watching, Facebook, Twitter, or X, or LinkedIn, or YouTube, hit us up with your emojis and let our audience know, our guests know that you enjoyed this or it resonated with you. It adds value to your practice. You can utilize it when you get back to work. Whatever it is, hit us up. I see them coming. Let me get my emoji. I got the real joint. It's my baseball bat, my Louisville Southern, man. So you hit grand slams every time you came to the plate, knocked it out the park. Y'all from Brooklyn, so we were at Ebbets Field, and and you knocked it out the park, man. This was big time. Tell these folks, hey folks, I know you want to have them in person. You know, this was just a little something, but like We can get them to your schools and your district, your conference, whatever it is. So let me start with Dr. Farrington. How did they get in touch with you?
Sure, you can get in contact with me. My email is hungryhistorian@gmail.com.
Say that
Or
again.
you can hit me hungryhistorian@gmail.com. Or you can get in contact with me via IG, Principal_Farrington. Or again, you could DM me on Facebook. My name, Allison Farrington.
Excellent. Power Pugh.
You can find information about me at www.samanthapugh.org. That's me. That's my website. You can also follow me at Principal_ on Instagram.
Come again, dog interfered. Come again.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Principal_Power Pugh. My website is samanthapugh.org. You can find me thank you. My daughter's always got the assist.
Oh, that's daughter. Okay.
Yeah, that's my baby. You can also find me on the Meetup or OSG on Thursdays and on Facebook. And so reach out to me, whatever you need. I'm here. We're here. Just all you got to do is take the first step, and we are here. And that's the hard part. A lot of people don't know how to take the first step, or they're not vulnerable. Call us. We are happy to jump on a call.
Absolutely.
Support you. We'll put on our sneakers and make it happen.
Salt and Pepper's here, and we're in.
Yeah,
we got you, y'all.
Man, I love it. This was great. Hey, to the fam out there, do me a favor. Hang on for a second while I just give you my rundown. First, let me thank you all for being here. As always, week number 203 consecutive. For those of you that don't know that, I haven't missed a week. I'm going on vacation in May while I'm writing that new book, but we will be doing this from there. So no matter where I am, this platform comes with me. I'm never breaking this string unless it's something I just, for whatever reason, can't do it. But then we'll be recorded, right? So thanks for being here. But join me next week. I got another special guest. These were two special guests. Next week, for the first time, I'm bringing a former student on. One of my students. She was with me in 8th grade and then 9th through 12th. Her name is Ivana Wade. And she's my special guest. I never brought a former student on, so we're gonna have some interesting conversation. Now, she is an educator, so that's a good thing. But that'll be week 204. Ivana Wade from East Orange, New Jersey, is going to be in the building, and I can't wait. I'll probably lose sleep over this one, right? So join me then for week 204. Every Saturday morning, Facebook Lives, 10 o'clock. Sean Hurt, Create and Educate. Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Unlock the Middle, Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Josh Tovar and Dean Packard. We refer to ourselves, the 4 platforms, as the Fantastic Four. School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele, July 9 and 10. Join me at the School Leadership Institute in Houston. Go to principalkafele.com. Scroll down to where it says Principal Kafele announcements. Click the link. Join me in Houston, right? Register now, because when it sells out, I can't get you in there, and we're gonna be dropping some stuff at the Institute. Make sure that you start registering for the Black Educators Rock Conference, as well as the OSG Conference, which you have one more day tomorrow to get that done for next weekend. But then the Black Educators Rock Conference is in July, so you can go to Melissa. Put that website on here. I don't know why I can't ever memorize it.
Shout out to Dr. Chester. She brought us together.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Sure
Shout out.
Yeah, and get ready to get beat in spades next week, sis. Okay, that's it.
Get him.
Hey Doc, if you there, I see you right here. Now put the website up for me, right? For Black Educators Rock right quick. Yeah, I see.
We will be there. We were there last year. We will be there in full effect again. We talked about our crew OSG, but we cannot forget to talk about our Black educators, Sean Hurd, Dr. Marcus Jackson, that whole crew. We love y'all.
I mean, it's so many.
They're the powerhouses.
Yeah, it's so many of us. So join us. Go to the website you see on the screen. Start registering now. We'll see you in Houston, as well as my institute in Houston. Not the same week. All right, let me finish up my books, man, real quick. Is my school a better school because I lead it? The Principal 50, the Assistant Principal Identity, the Aspiring Principal 50, the Assistant Principal 50. I'm on a roll. Let me get some more down here. I'm on a roll. The Equity and Social Justice Education 50, the Teacher 50, the motivating black males to achieve in school and in life. They closing the attitude gap. How's that for a guy that spent 5 years in high school and came out with a 1.5? I think I did okay.
You better tell them about it, brother.
I think you did too.
And that's only 9 of them. I wrote 14.
Come
right?
on and let them know. Possibly.
Don't you think that chapter in your life is your destiny? That's all it is a chapter, baby. Right?
You get
so
to write
much
a
more
new
life to live. So let's go. Make sure you subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. And don't miss out on them YouTube shorts every Wednesday. I drop some fire every Wednesday. I call it midweek fire. So make sure you subscribe. And then also like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. That's when I write my written commentary every Sunday morning, right? So this is not just a Saturday thing. It's a Sunday thing too. You get the written commentary. So make sure that you follow that page. And then lastly, your health precautions, your diet. Make sure y'all eating right. It's hard when I'm on the road like this, man. So, I this week being on the road, I just couldn't get my hands on the right food. So instead of eating the wrong food, I just didn't eat much. So I know I came in here with less weight than I left out of here with last Monday or Sunday, whenever I left. But I'm just not putting that poison in me. So make sure you're eating right. Make sure you exercise and getting that in. I did 3 miles yesterday. I don't know what I'm gonna do today, but I know I'll be out there tomorrow, right? So we'll see. And then I used to say COVID precautions. Now I'll just say disease and virus precautions. Whatever precautions you got to take them, because if you're not healthy, then the children can't benefit from you, right? So, hey, y'all, I see you next week. Y'all stay on. I see you next week. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see y'all Saturday. I didn't tell you. I forgot. I'm rocking my Seattle Steelheads Negro League jersey, man. People don't know that Seattle had a team, but yeah, man. Seattle, Washington had a team too. I forgot. My mother used to get on me. You didn't tell them what you were wearing. That Negro League jersey. I got it. I got you, Ma. She's on. My mother watches. My mother's seen all 203 of these. She's sitting there right there chilling. 89 years old, man, chilling. I see y'all next week. Y'all stay on.